to the Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker. Join strength and conditioning expert Roberto Parker as he shares his over 35 years of experience in training athletes and helping people achieve their fitness goals. Now here's your moderator, Chris Whiting, with Coach Roberto.
Hey, everybody. Welcome once again. It is every other Monday, which means it's the Health Detective Podcast. My name is Chris Whiting. So thrilled to be here with you. First off, my apologies if you saw me stuffing my face before we got started here, but even big-time podcasting stars like myself got to eat. With me, as always, is Coach Roberto Parker, who talks to us about all things health-related, be it nutrition or exercising or supplements. Always something exciting to learn. And we do have a special guest tonight. Those of you that are watching right now can see Joel Berg on here. We're going to get to Joel in just a minute. So there's a little teaser for you guys. But first, I'm going to kick it over to the coach, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up in the future and what we're going to do tonight. So take it away, Roberto.
Well, hello, everybody. And in the next couple of weeks, we're going to do another podcast. I want to kind of tease it tonight. The next podcast is what really is optimal health? I get asked this question a lot. What is health? I know people who are healthy who are getting the coronavirus. I know people who are healthy who are getting cancer, who are having heart attacks, who are just passing out and dying. So what really is health, and how do we measure that? Because there are some objective ways and subjective ways to measure how healthy you really are, because health really kind of varies from person to person. And because a person might say they're healthy or say someone else is healthy, doesn't mean they're really, really healthy. So we're going to go over that in a couple of weeks. And I'm going to go over some detailed type of testing protocols that can determine health, longevity, aging, whatever. Okay, so that's for the next couple of weeks.
Well, hey, I can't wait for that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, tonight. So I don't think this speaks real highly of you and I, Roberto, no offense, but we've had some shows in the past where we've had guests on, right? We had Wyatt, your son, on.
Right.
We had, what was her name? The doctor that came on.
Dr. Heather.
Dr. Heather. Those are like our most popular shows. It seems like this show peaks when there's other people besides you and I on here.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yes. So tonight you've got a guest on here, and I'll let you introduce him whenever you're ready here. But you want to tell folks what tonight's going to be about?
Well, we're going to have Joel on tonight. Joel has been a client of mine for 15 years or so, Joel?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, about 15 years.
About 12, actually.
Yeah, I've trained Joel. I've trained his son, who's a competitive athlete and now coaching. I've trained his wife a little bit. So I think I trained your son-in-law too for a little while, Paul. So I've trained a lot of people in your family. And, you know, a couple of weeks ago, Chris, your wife gave me a pretty good idea to talk about some success stories.
Yeah.
Well, I thought instead of me talking about it, I thought I would invite somebody on and let them talk about it. So having said that, I've known Joel for a number of years now, and he's one of my best customers. And I'm going to let him kind of talk about where he's been, where he's come from, his background a little bit, and the kind of things he's accomplished since he's been training with Innovative Sports Training. So take it away there, Joel.
So I met Roberto it had to be 12 years ago. My son, Tim, was 10. He's 22 now. He's in his final semester of college. He's coaching football. And Tim, the reason I found Roberto was I was looking for somebody to train Tim. Tim was playing football, and he's always been the smallest kid on the field when he was little. He was like a little 5'3", 90-pound kid playing quarterback in tackle football. And but he was always one of the best players. And we just didn't want him getting hurt. So I said, I got to find somebody to put some weight on this boy. So that's kind of where I started with Roberto. He took on Tim when he was 10 years old. And Roberto, I don't even think you really took on a lot of youngsters that age, because you kind of like the serious athlete that's going to take the class seriously and not jack around. And it's hard to find 10-year-olds that can handle an hour of Roberto without,
Hey, Joel. sometimes it's hard to find adults who don't jack around.
Yeah, I'll attest. It's hard to find 50-year-olds that can take an hour of Roberto. Yes.
So he took Tim on, and it's really, Tim, he went to Blue Springs High School. Tim ended up being the starting quarterback at his middle school. He was the number 2 quarterback all through his high school at Blue Springs High School. And simply because he was just, at that time was 150 pounds. He got into college. He got a scholarship to play football. He thought he was done, and somebody gave him a scholarship at Culver Stockton. And he's been the number 2 quarterback there for all 4 years.
Wow.
And you think, well, he's number 2. He's not on the field. Well, he did get on the field. But to play college football at any level, if you get on the field and you're playing, you're pretty good, and you've done a pretty good job. And with Tim, it was always about having his whole body in shape. Now, here's a story I'll tell about Tim, and this really reflects on training, the kind of training that I was looking for. Tim was he was 135 pounds when he was recruited in college. He's now 175. So they put a lot of weight on him in actually the first year. But in the weight room, they would always use Tim to show all these football players how to do a lift, how to do a hang clean, how to do a squat, how to do a deadlift, because he always did it with good form. Because he trained with Roberto for so long, his core strength, his abs, his butt, his thighs, his hamstrings were always so strong that he could lift weight that guys 30 pounds heavier than him couldn't lift. And he did it right.
Wow.
After I saw Roberto training him like that, we had a lot of people leave Roberto's class within those first couple of years, and that I had actually gotten to come to Roberto with their kids, because Roberto doesn't do the lay down and bench press and all this heavy weights like these kids like to do. And so they thought, this ain't really doing my kid any good, because they want those instantaneous results. We want to see, he's been doing this for 6 weeks now. We don't see all these results that we're wanting to see. And Tim stayed with him for 10 years and got those results.
So Joel, I'm curious, what was it that made you go, okay, I like what he's doing with Tim. I want to get involved in this too.
So one of the big factors was a lot of my friends. I'm 52 now. When I got with Roberto, I was about 40. And a lot of my friends at the time, man, they were, I'm looking at all these people in my family and all my friends I'm hanging out with, and they're like taking medicines because they got issues, and they're always in pain when they wake up in the morning. They're like, they don't want to go out and do things because their backs hurt. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be this guy. Mm-hmm. And I took Tim all the time anyway. And I'm like, they're climbing ropes, they're flipping tires, they're hitting tires with sledgehammers, or backwards bear crawling up hills in the park. And I'm like, man, I want to get in some of this stuff. So I started doing it. And Roberto had an adult. I don't even remember who I started with. I think there was about 4 of us at the time. And that was it. Got hooked and feel great. Just a balance in my life of good nutrition that he's taught me, good habits of getting enough sleep, good habits of working out, just a balanced lifestyle all around is the best thing I can say about it.
It's funny when we're about the same age, Tim, and I'm sorry, Joel. when I first started going to Roberto, I was shocked because, like you alluded to, I'm like, well, wait, where's the bench press? Where's the lat pull down? What aren't we going to do the stuff that I'm used to doing? And I remember asking, and I asked Roberto about it, and he's like, we don't come here and work on vanity muscles, okay? We work on real core strength. I'm like, oh, okay. And I don't know, you look like you're an athlete. I'd never been in athletics, so Roberto terrified me at first. What was your experience? Did it take you a while to get used to that type of training, or were you used to that already?
No, I wasn't used to the training. I was used to the person. A lot of people look at Roberto as this mean yeller, and he's just not. He's just very serious, very just uses a lot of common sense. And if you're going to pay the money that you pay to sign up with Roberto's class, I don't think it's expensive, but it's not $10 a month Planet Fitness type stuff.
Yeah.
If you're going to pay that kind of money, why wouldn't you go into his class and take that hour and just be serious and do the things that he's going to have you do to make your body healthier?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joel.
That's what I wanted. I like people that take their job seriously, and when people sign up, I own my own company. When guys come to work for me, I don't want them jacking around all the time. When they're at work, work.
Yeah.
And do it
That's
right.
what I say.
Do it with quality. Do it. It's not always about quantity. It's about quality and all kinds of things. You got to balance. And that's what I like about Roberto. Such a balancing act. He does it better than any of us, but I've learned a lot over the last 4 years.
I'll tell you, that's been the mindset that I've had to come to as well. Not had to come to, but it's really helped me. Like I go to class 2 hours a week with Roberto, but if I go in and I give my all for those 2 hours, it has such a positive impact on the however many other hours I have throughout the rest of that week. But it's going in and it's focusing. And when I have been a member of Planet Fitness in the past, which I have, I'll show up and jack around for 30 minutes on something and then tell myself, this was better than nothing. Be proud of yourself, buddy, go. But it's never what I get when I go to Roberto's. Now, there's a lot less pizza parties at Roberto's than there are at Planet Fitness. So you got to weigh those things out. But it definitely makes a much bigger impact on me physically, and I'll say mentally and emotionally, if I go and I give my all.
I want to interject something here real quick, guys. Both of you touched on balance. And remember, I want to quantify this a little bit. You and I have had this conversation before, and we've done podcasts on it. How you sleep, your mood, your energy, your food cravings, and your hunger, the SMEC acronym, right? So
check your SMEC.
That's a good way to quantify, are you doing the things that you should be doing relative to your exercise, your eating habits, your sleeping habits? How's your sleep? How's your mood? How's your energy? How's your food cravings? Are you having food cravings? If you're having zero food cravings, that's pretty good. You have a good, healthy appetite. And once you complete eating a meal, are you done? I mean, you shouldn't have to eat for another, 2 or 3 hours. So those are kind of a subjective way of measuring, which I'll talk about in a couple of weeks, by the way, another plug for a couple of weeks from now. That's kind of a subjective way of measuring, are you in good health? Because if each one of those things are off balance, the chances are there's something going on in your life that needs to be addressed in terms of a stressor in your life.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I try to take advantage of Roberto, try to get him to do it. So it's just like free advice. Whenever I have issues, maybe I got some pain somewhere, maybe I'm just not feeling right in the mornings, maybe whatever it is, I'll go to Roberto before I'll even go to my doctor and say, hey, this is kind of what I'm dealing with. What do you suggest? And he'll always have some great advice, and I'll 99% of the time try it, and it works. And it's just, my thing is, I figure one of these days I'm going to get old enough or I'm going to have to be on some sort of medicine, doctor's going to be like, you got to take this. But until that day, I want to live life as naturally as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Amen for that.
So far, what a great role model Roberto is for that. I'm curious, Joel, have you always been in classes with Roberto in a group setting, or have you done individual sessions as well?
I did a couple individual sessions over the years, but I really like the class setting. Mm-hmm. I'm in a class now where we've worked out together, the people that I'm in there with, for a couple of years now, and we just all mesh together and we all push each other. And that's really important in a class like that, that you got different personalities that can, because I don't always go there feeling this with the same attitude. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be here. Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I don't feel good. Sometimes my legs hurt. Sometimes I feel great and I can motivate somebody else. But when you have other people there to motivate you, push you, encourage you, whatever it is you need that day, that's important. And Roberto can just kind of put the class together, put the stations together, and then let us motivate and encourage each other. And it works out really well.
You'll see each other tomorrow because Chris comes in, him and Jane before you do, Joel.
Yeah, so I saw Chris in the other day, and Chris says he wasn't an athlete. I was watching Chris hit the bag, the heavy bag, and I'm like, so Chris, you can tell, like I used to box. I boxed for a couple of years. And so you can tell that you weren't a boxer, but you're hitting the bag with your core. You're doing it right. And you can tell that. I don't know how you ever started hitting the bag with Roberto, but right now it's working for you. And you can tell you're hitting it with power. And that's what you want. You want to be able to get all of your body working together in conjunction with each other. And that's what I like about Roberto. Everything's just so balanced across the plate.
Well, that's so nice of you to say. And I can tell you, I didn't know how to punch. I didn't know how to kick. I didn't know how to swing a sledgehammer before I came to, I still don't know how to do the speed bag. Okay. Just full disclosure. Yeah. I try, but I've not been able to master that one yet. But you're right. And I've learned, because of Roberto, how to use my core more in things like punching and kicking, and how to engage more of my body's muscles in the different movements that we do.
Right.
And I, like you, I love the class dynamic. I went, maybe 10, 11, 12 years ago for a couple of years to Roberto. Yeah. Took a decade off, and I'm back now for the last couple of years. And it just, the class setting is nice. And I'm assuming, Roberto, like, you have classes that are set up, but if somebody came to you and said, hey, I've got 4 friends and we want to do this together, you could work with them to find a time and create their own class, right?
Yeah, I've had people that have come to me, you remember Steve Lepore, Jane's husband. Mm-hmm. Well, he approached me still when I was on the South 7 facility. He had a bunch of buddies. I think, Joel, you may have been on that class too. It was you and John Rolls and Eric Riker.
Nobody likes to be in a class with Jane Lepore.
G.I. Jane, man.
Yeah.
I tell you.
But anyway, it was Steve, her husband, but they wanted to mainly focus on bulking up and getting bigger. That was their main objective. There's about 4 or 5 of those guys, and that's what we focused on. Now, most people don't want that. Most people want to lose a little bit of body fat and just some basic muscle tone. But these guys wanted to bulk up, that kind of ego thing, but they wanted big arms, the big guns, the big chest, the big shoulders. So that's what we focused on. And so I can make the class as specialized as anybody wants. If you want more speed and agility, if you're a high performance athlete, if you're more of a training for, let's say, some sort of an adventure run like the Tough Mudder or something like that, or if you're just wanting just to lose a few pounds. Now, with most people, the one area where they lack is the eating, the nutrition. And I think, we all would agree with that. That's probably the toughest thing to change. And there's some people I'll just work with them strictly on the nutritional aspect of it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. The eating, for me anyway, is the hardest part. But I find I am more motivated to eat better if I really do focus and put all of my effort and energy into that workout. It's like, man, I've worked so hard. I don't want to screw it up now.
Exactly.
Yeah, really, if you work out enough, when you're with them long enough, none of that stuff really sounds good. Every once in a while, I'll have a Lamar's donut or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But man, I don't eat that stuff all the time like I used to. I'd go to Lamar's and get a donut and a chocolate milk almost every day in the past, and we'd on the weekends we'd just go out to eat 3-4 times, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday, pizza and burgers, and I don't even have any desire to do that anymore. It just don't sound good. We do it every once in a while, but when you're healthy, it just feels good. It feels so good to be healthy. It feels so good to wake up in the morning and not be in pain. The only pain I feel in the morning is from the previous workout. But that's just the way it is.
Oh boy, when we have a tough leg day, I always the next day when it's time to descend down onto the commode, it's going to be a painful squat. I know that every time.
Yeah. I kind of like that feeling myself, Chris.
I know you do. Yes. There is a good soreness. It's almost like, hey, I've earned this feeling, this soreness. And damn it, I'm proud of it. So
there you go.
Yeah. But I will tell people that when you first start going to Roberto, if you're not used to the types of workouts, just wait till after the first leg day.
Yeah.
That's going to be a fun couple of days after that.
Yeah.
It's always the first couple of weeks that is hard. And if you can just get people to stick it out.
Yeah.
People get there and they go through that first week and they're like, I ain't going back to this. It's like, why? Why would you not go back?
Yes.
So
yeah. I've had that happen quite a bit where I've had young kids and adults come to me and they just hated it the first week, but they keep coming back and they grow. Most of them grow to love it. Now there's been some who've left now, but most of them grow to love it because like you were just saying, Joel and Chris, when you start getting in shape, you just have a tendency not to want to just tear down what you've established.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's certain things you're still going to do. And, the way I look at eating what I consider not the greatest food in the world, it's a treat. I remember when I was a kid, we used to go to, what was it? That root beer place. What's it called? A&W Root Beer. A&W Root Beer. We'd go there about maybe once or twice a summer, and I'd always get a root beer float. But my parents only took us there. It was a treat. We didn't go there. We didn't go there 3 or 4 times a week. We went there maybe once a month.
Yeah. That was the same for me as a kid. It was McDonald's, which is awful now. I don't know why I ever like that. But we'd go maybe once a month and we loved it. It was like a treat. Now you got kids, their parents take them there every day.
Every day, yeah.
And they stuff that trash inside their kid and they wonder why their kid's overweight by the time they're 9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel so bad for some of these kids. I see so many kids that are in elementary school that are probably technically obese. I don't know how heavy you have to be obese, but they're probably technically obese because of their nutritional habits.
Yeah.
Learning that at such a young age, man.
Yeah. And see, for me, my parents were not sticklers on eating good food. So every day I'd come home from school and I'd have a frozen Suzy Q or a couple of ding dongs and some peppermint ice cream and cookie dough. And it was nuts. I should be 1,000 pounds. I really should. But honestly now, like especially with sugar, I think I've just moderated enough of it out of my regular diet that when I eat it, I can tell a difference and I don't like how I feel. And now every once in a while, it's worth it to me to say, okay, I'm going to have ice cream. I might feel a little sluggish afterwards, but it's been 3 weeks, so I'm going to do it. And
well, I do a lot of video watching of different people that are in the field of health and nutrition, especially nutritional people that are 20 times smarter than me. And here's what I've learned over the years. You have to earn your carbohydrates. Okay, so if you're going to have pizza, earn that pizza. Just don't eat it because you emotionally need pizza. Earn that pizza. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you go to the gym, you pump some iron for a few weeks or a few days, and you earn that pizza because once you start building more muscle, your body can handle more carbohydrates because I've said this before in the past. We can survive without carbs, but carbs is the cheapest form of energy for our bodies. The body will always use carbs first, fat second, and protein only in times when you really, really need it. Now, let's say you totally eliminated carbohydrates from your eating, totally eliminated it. You would still survive. And the reason why is because your body would take protein and convert that to carbohydrate, better known as glycogen. For every 100 grams of protein you take in, your body will convert to 60 grams of glycogen.
Wow.
So you can, there's a very fancy term called gluconeogenesis, but that's where your body will convert protein to glucose. So you can live without carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates are good comfort foods. They taste good, they make you feel good, but they're not the best for you. They're a cheap source of energy. Fats are the better source of energy, but that's kind of where the keto thing kicks in. Fats are much more efficient source of energy, but fats are harder to get to burn than carbs.
Well, and wouldn't you think that most people, at least in our society, when they're getting carbs, they're getting the highly processed
absolutely.
carbs? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, there's even people out there, some of the carnivore proponents, and you guys have seen some of the podcasts by Dr. Sean Baker that I put out there. I mean, this guy is strictly carnivore. I mean, he eats nothing but meat. Now, I don't go quite that far. I believe, you can have some vegetables, but you got to find the right blend of vegetables that won't make you sick, that won't bloat you up, even things like nuts, because I've found that when I eat a lot of nuts, it makes me really bloated. So you got to find the right, once again, going back to the term Joel used, balance for you. If you can have a little bit of nuts every day, then do that. If only just a handful a week, then do that. If you can handle eating ice cream, a bowl of ice cream just once a week, then okay, as long as it doesn't have any deleterious effects on your body. But you got to find the right balance for you. I will say this, that you better be getting in good quality protein first and foremost, and some good quality fats. And carbohydrates should really be your last priority.
Hey, I want to go back to something that Joel brought up earlier, Roberto. He talked about his son coming to you when he was 10 years old. Now, Joel and I are both guys in our 50s. What's the age range that you will work with?
Oh, I don't. Kid probably no younger than about 8 years old. About that young. I mean, younger than that, it's. I mean, I can do it, but I really prefer not because their attention span isn't the best. So, kids that are probably entering, I'm going to say probably 4th grade, 5th grade, because that's when I started my son Wyatt. I started him working out when he was about 4th grade because he wanted to play tackle football. So I told him, okay, I'll let you play tackle football, but you're going to start working out. Now, the workouts weren't heavy duty, max on deadlift, squat, power clean type workouts. They're, using light dumbbells, doing push-ups, doing pull-ups, that kind of thing. So he agreed to it. Now he hated doing it, for about 2 years. By his 8th grade year, he started loving it. It took him 4 years to really kind of get into it, but he was starting to change then because he was becoming more athletic. Testosterone started kicking in. He was getting a little bit more aggressive in his demeanor. And so he knew he wanted to play high school football. So he knew he had to start doing those things. So, but initially he hated it, but eventually he loved it. And now he's powerlifting. In fact, I talked to him yesterday and he's going to his first powerlifting meet in a couple of weeks. And if he does well, he'll qualify for nationals.
Oh, wow. Well, and I think you bring up a good point there. He hated it at first, and now working out is such an integrated part of Wyatt's life. I follow him on Instagram. I see all the powerlifting videos. Folks that have kids that are interested in athletics, like this is a chance to build lifelong habits that will serve them well throughout their entire life. And don't be me. It's easier when you start younger than when you wait until you're in your 40s and go, holy cow, my beer gut's gigantic. I got to do something.
Yeah.
Parents listening, if you got kids that are athletes or kids that are interested in physical stuff, Roberto is definitely a great option to get those kids stronger and help them perform better at sports. And then, and then you got the silver foxes like Joel and myself that want to do things like stay off medication and maybe not be as dad bod-ish as some of our friends, things like that. So
yeah, there's a lot involved. I mean, I want to look good. I don't want to look bad. I mean, my wife doesn't want me to look like a whatever, but there's also the pain-free aspect of it. There's the stay out of the hospital aspect of it. There's the feel good about myself aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
And I've taught Tim that you got to decide what you want to do in life, what you want to be in life, what you want to have in life. And no matter what those things are, any of it, you're going to have to work hard for. You're not just things don't just happen because you want them to happen. And so figure out what it is that you're willing to work hard for. And Tim was willing to work hard. Tim was never going to be the starting quarterback. And they don't start 150-pound kids normally in high school football.
Right.
But he wanted it so bad that he was willing to work hard enough for it. And it's got him through college now. And now he's actually starting his coaching career.
Oh, that's awesome.
And because he's willing to work hard for it. With people like you and me, our age, it's the same thing. What do you want in life? Right now, what I want in life has to do with spending time with my grandkids as I get older. Being healthy and doing things with my wife as I get older. I don't plan on retiring. I'm just going to work until I can't work anymore. But if I want to be able to healthy enough to do those things and live long enough, I need to take care of my body and then let God take care of the rest, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Well put, Joel. Yeah. Thank you. Well, we're going to have to wrap up shortly here. Any last minute things or anything else to bring up, Joel, from your experience with Roberto?
I would just say we hit on the balance thing, but I would say you got to make up your mind that you want to manage your life. You want to manage your life to have a good lifestyle. And if you're not feeling good, if you're not looking good, if looking like you want to look, feeling like you want to feel, do something about it and be willing to put in the work. Don't think you're going to wake up. You watch TV, every other commercial is a drug commercial. Some new drug that's out to make you feel better. You watch TV, they got all these new, you put a pill in a drink and you drink it and your stomach's going to shrink automatically. We buy into this stuff and we believe this and we spend our money on these false things that aren't going to work. Spend your money on things that are actually going to work. And Roberto doesn't only get you in shape, get you in community, get you with people like-minded and that you can have long-lasting friendships with. There's a lot to say about what Roberto does that you can't
That's right.
do a 20-minute podcast.
Roberto Social Club, Chris.
Hey, I will say this. There's a little mantra I have in my head when I'm at Roberto's. And it is, I can do hard things. And I say that to myself inside my head when it's something that's hard for me to do there that I don't want to do. Like, those speed jerks. I hate them so much. But I will do the speed jerks and just say, I can do hard things. And what's cool about that is that has spilled over into other aspects of my life where, okay, there's something I don't want to do at work or with family or whatever, but I will say, no, I can do hard things. I prove it to myself every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 6 a.m. And it's a good life lesson and a good skill to have outside of Roberto's class as well.
I'll just close with this. Know what you want and know what you're willing to give up to get what you want.
Oh, that's good.
There's always a price. You need to give up something. If the prize is worth it, there's a price attached to it.
Well, Roberto, tell the nice people at home how they can get in contact with you if they're interested in working with you.
816-405-7703. Email is rwpsports@yahoo.com.
That's perfect. And folks, you've heard me talk about it a lot. We've got Joel on here. Great testimonial. Really nice to have you on the program, Joel.
One more thing, Chris.
Yeah.
Hey, Joel, show him your shirt.
Oh man, I was really liking you, Joel.
I know.
Really a lot.
I'm from there, so
Hey,
I'm a Colorado kid at heart, stuck in Kansas City and making the best of it.
well, hey, you know what? As I'm fine with the Broncos, just as long as the Chiefs do better, And I'm
Let's hope you're not fine with them this year.
Hey, well, I want to see Drew Lock do good. I've got some family connections to Drew and the Lock family, and we can still be friends, Joel. It's fine. It's two Sundays a year,
I agree.
Yes. Well, very good. Well, Joel, thank you so much. Roberto, as always, thank you. And folks listening, really consider working with Roberto, whether it's working out with him, whether it's a meal plan, whether it's, him ordering labs and helping you look at those to determine a plan for you. It will make your life better. It will improve the quality of your life. So reach out to Roberto and we'll talk to y'all next time.
All right. Take care, guys. God bless. See you, Paul. See you, Joe.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker. You can contact Roberto at 816-405-7703 or by email at rwpsports@yahoo.com with any comment or question you may have. Join us next time for the Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker. The Health Detective Podcast with Roberto Parker has been a KCTK production, produced by Roberto Parker, Chris Whiting, and Paul Lavoda. All rights reserved. For more information and content, email us at kctkradio@gmail.com.